I think this bike is what they refer to as rusty gold. I just picked this thing up for $1,250. A very good price for a two-stroke triple. This is a 1975 Suzuki Gt750, and it looks to be mostly complete. But I think I know why it was so cheap. This thing is rusty. The seller said it's been sitting since 1986 and hasn't ran since then. You can see the license plate on it. Well, we got the big pig in the garage. This thing is not light, but yeah, let's dig right in, see what's going on. First thing we're gonna check is the oil. Who thinks there's anything in there? Ooh, yeah, it looks a little black. Cap doesn't look too bad. Ooh. I guess that matches the rest of the bike. I doubt it. Oh, cap is on there. I can't see anything down there. Yeah, that is completely dry. Last little pin, there we go. Look at that mouse nest in there. Oh yeah, that's not doing much here. Ooh. That makes it easy. Oh, get that battery out. Oh man. There we go. Neutral light. I think the headlight's on too. Wow. Check that out. That is nasty. Over. Oh yeah. Good spark. There. Alright, cover looks nice. That's absolutely caked. Look at that. Scrape off most of that gunk. And we'd like to see 120, but I'm guessing it's probably going to be closer to like 90. Oh geez. We just tapped out the compression gauge. I think the carbs are free finally. Cool. Ready to walk. Oh boy. Oh, it's not horrible. It'll probably leak right out. We're back with the 1975 Suzuki Gt750, the Water Buffalo. And if you guys missed the last video, we picked this thing up for $1,250. And you guys saw me walk around the bike. It is very, very rusty. You know, everything is pretty rusty on it. And it looks like it's in pretty rough condition. But we got it for the right price. Brought this thing back home, started diagnosing it. And we actually got this thing to fire up last video and run for the first time in over 40 years. So that was a pretty good feeling. We kind of ended the video where it was leaking a bunch of gas out of the carbs and was leaking a bunch of coolant out of the cooling lines. So the line here was leaking horribly. We're gonna have to fix that today. And then the carb on the left side was just pouring out gas. So we bought a rebuild kit for that. And then we bought an air filter for it. The air filter was just disintegrating in my hands as we tried to take that apart. And then we'll put some new plugs in it as well. And hopefully be able to take this thing for the first ride. And like I said, over 40 years. So that is the goal for today. We have a lot of work to do. The brake also doesn't work in the front. So we're gonna have to try to get that to work as well. The rear one does work. So at least we have one brake if the front one does not work. But it'd be nice to have 2 brakes on a 750. We'll probably need them. So let's get going with this video. Let's start fixing this thing up, and hopefully by the end of it, we can take this thing for the first ride. All right, we're gonna start by taking off this coolant line here. I'm guessing a bunch of coolant's gonna pour out, but I think there's a big, yeah, right there. You guys see that? Look at that. It's leaking out, so there's a huge crack in the line right here. I'll zoom in so you guys can see. Watch, push on it. It's leaking. So that line is completely cracked. Let's get that off. Ew. Holy cow. I cannot believe that came off. Everything is just really caked with rust. Oh, that one might rip out. That one's not wanting to come. A little bit more penetrating oil. I think it's coming. Oh, it broke off. That's not good. Alright, most of the coolant is drained out of it. I'm just gonna take a screwdriver and kind of pry this line off. It's stuck on there pretty good. Look at how easy that broke. Cut right through it. It's nothing. Yeah, it's all dry rotted. Okay. Alright, there's the hose. Let's see if we can see where the rip was. Yeah, right there. So rip there, and then I think there's one down here too. Yeah, right down here. Oh, right there, that's huge. So that was not going to work. So we're gonna go and try to find a new hose for it and install that. We'll have to buy some new clamps because this is what's left of the clamp. That was just rusted tight. All right, get the old line out. Just went to O'Reilly's. This is all they had for line. So we're just gonna cut that. Right about there. Alright, then we can install that piece. Got a couple new clamps here. The other ones were completely rusted out. So those should fit on there pretty good. Alright, get this hose on. Get the top part on. Oh, we have to get the other clamp on. Let's see if those are the right way. Yep. Alright, hose is on. Alright, let's see if it still leaks here. Nothing yet. No leaking. All right. I'm not seeing any leaking from the hose at all. Watching for any leaks here. All right, nothing yet. So far so good. So we didn't put the airbox on last video because I figured something would leak or we'd have to take off the carbs again, and I was correct in that assumption. So good thing we didn't put the airbox back on. It's a pain to get back on. But once we figure out that the carbs are not leaking, everything's tuned up, then we can put the airbox back on. So we have to get the oil pump off here. Get that off first. Just twist off here. And this pulls out once you get the carbs loose. Then the clamps have to come loose. Off. I like to take these all the way off, basically. So push those to the back. These carbs are really hard to get back on once you get them off. Just gonna heat up these rubbers, make them a little bit softer. Get off of here. So push down, pull up. There's a cable in the way here. All right, perfect. And this comes out. This is the oil pump. Get that out of there. Okay. Now all that's left is the throttle cable. There we go. All right, carbs are out, hopefully for the last time. That's definitely a process getting those carbs out, but you can see all the gas leaking from this carb. See that? So that was just dumping gas into the cylinder. The other two look good, those are nice and dry. But that one was leaking bad. So I don't know what's going on with that one. Let's take a peek. I'm suspecting needle or seat, but we'll see. All right, so it was the furthest left carb, which is right here. So we're gonna take that one apart and check that out. All right, take our bowl off. And we cleaned all these carbs last video. So we'll see if that filter kept the rust out. The tank is still pretty rusty. Oh, there's a lot of gas in there. There's a little bit of gunk in there. I think it let some of that rust through. Alright, let's take a peek. That float out of there. Take a closer look. Maybe it's the float. Yep. Listen to that. Shoot. There's gas in the float. Hear that? So there is a pinhole somewhere in this float. Hear that? It sounds like it's on this side here. Yeah, if you can see it coming out. So that's why this carb was overflowing. Pinhole in the float. Where is that? So what I like to do to find them is take an air compressor, blow around it, and then if you find the hole, if you pressurize this little side right here, it'll push fluid out that hole, and then you can locate the hole. But the rest of the carb looks pretty good. We bought a brand new rebuild kit for it, OEM, so we're going to install that anyway. But I believe the problem was the gas in the float. So we're going to have to try to find the hole and solder that up. That's really the only way to fix that. Just found the hole here. It's a pretty big hole. Lots of gas in there. Yeah, that was just weighing it down. So we're going to get all the gas out, and we're going to attempt to solder that up. I wish I had another float. Look how much gas was in there. That's crazy. Decent sized crack all the way along here. There's the hole, but it's cracked all the way along here. It's real flimsy. See that? I don't like that. So we're going to sand that down, try to get a better picture of it, and then lay a bead of solder, and then we're going to have to grind off some of that solder, I'm guessing. It's going to be pretty heavy. Alright, we got all the gas out of it, and then we sanded that down. You can actually really see the damage now. So it's cracked all the way from there, all the way to there, and that brass is getting really, really thin there. So what we might do is put that solder on and then just grind that down, flush with that surface, if we can do it. We'll see. Try this. Got our best shot. Start from this piece here. Alright, it's patched. See if it holds here. Alright, we're gonna let this sit in the water for a little bit. Usually you can see little bubbles coming up. Not seeing anything yet. Let's hear it. Oh, there's water in it still. Shoot. So, let's see where that's leaking from. And alright, we're gonna have to resolder that. Alright, we repaired it again with a little bit more solder on there. We're gonna let this sit in here for probably like 30 minutes to see if that seeps in that crack there that we fixed. Hopefully it doesn't, and we're good to go. Alright, we let the float sit in water for like 30 minutes, and we're not hearing any water in it, so I think that repair should hold up. There's the soldering job. We actually had to do this like 5 times. We finally got to go. So let's put the rebuild kit in the carb, just to make sure it's not the needle or seat that was leaking too. So here's the needle coming out. We can get the seat out of there. There's a little O-ring. And the little seat has a filter on there. That's kind of nice, so no flakes can get between the needle and seat. So I'm guessing it probably wasn't the needle and seat. I'm guessing it was probably just the float there, but we'll put the new carb kit in since we have it. So open that up. Alright, here it is. Take a peek. Put the new gasket on for sure. Right there. Here's the new needle and seat we're going to replace. And then that's basically it, because I think that was the only other piece that could have been bad on it, causing it to leak. There's the crush washer, there's the needle. See if it's the same as the other one. Yep, exactly the same. So this is going in. Actually, that's too small. What the heck? That's not good. The threads are too small. Did I order the wrong kind? Well, it looks like the original one's going back in. Oh, good. Yeah, those threads are too small. This one has a filter screen on it anyway, so yeah, I think it was just the float though that was causing issues, so we'll put the old one back in. Yeah, I don't know, must have ordered the wrong kind, because that's way too small. Shoot. Well, good thing it was the float, because we don't have a replacement seat. Alright. Alright, hopefully that fixes our problem. Alright, heat these back up. Try to pop this carb back on. See if we can get it to go. This one was a little tricky last time. Yeah, that takes some force to get those on. All right, here is the old air filter. Let's get this off of here. I believe you just zip these off and the whole thing comes apart. This is pretty gross. Clean that up. All right, here's the air filter. Oh yeah, that is pretty rough. Now we're gonna scrape off all this gunk on here and on the plate here, and then we have a brand new air filter for it right here. We have to oil that up. All right, opening up the new air filter here. Get that oiled up. Using this Tusk foam air filter oil. Kind of gonna work that in a little bit. See how tacky that is. All right, then we can install it. So it goes just like this over that cage. All right, air filter's ready to go. All right, let's try to get the airbox back in. That one's really hardened up. Look at that. See if it'll free up. I don't think so. That wasn't so bad. Here, just like this, and this. All right, we got the air filter secured. Get this little cover on here. All right, get our points cover on. All right, we got all brand new plugs going in. Let's get those installed. This was the original plug that was in it. I think that was the only good one that was in the bike. You can see it's pretty black right now. And this thing smoked a ton on the first startup, so I think it probably fouled some of the plugs. I was a little worried about that, so we're gonna replace them all. This one's a BR9ES plug. We just had that laying around to put in there. This one takes a BR8ES plug. So we'll get the two in here first and then the last one on the end. Brand new plug going in. These are the BR8ES plugs. Let's get those in. See what this one looks like. And after we run this for a little bit, we're going to do another compression test and see what it reads. I'd like to see it, in the 100 range. This one was 300 psi. So I'm guessing, like I said in the last video, that there's a bunch of oil or gas down in the crankcase area down here, and it's coming up and causing that compression to be really high. And this thing smoked a ton on startup last video, so I'm thinking it's clearing out those crankcases. But look at that plug, super wet and really black. So yeah, I'm guessing those crankcases are just full. This one in. All right, we've got some 40-to-1 mixed up. We're gonna put the full gallon in. And right now we've got the oil tank, the 2-stroke oil tank, empty. I wanna run this on premix for a little bit, get it used to running on premix. And then once we get it all lubed up, all the cylinders lubed up, and it's tuned up perfectly, then we can add the oil and straight gas. But we don't know if that pump's working yet. So we're gonna run premix first, and then kind of go from there. Well, we got the coolant line fixed. Hopefully we don't have any more leaks from that. We got the carb fixed. Hopefully the carb doesn't leak anymore. I think we got the pinholes in the flow fixed. We'll see on the initial first start here. We got fresh fuel in it. We're gonna wait to put the battery in because I think we're gonna crank this thing over a ton today. And we'll see if this thing smokes still. It was puffing out a ton of white smoke last video, but it didn't smell like transmission oil. So hopefully the crank seals are fine. Fingers crossed. That would suck if they weren't. So everything should be good, and we have new plugs in. All right, let's hook up a starter to it. See if she fires up today. choke it. Sounds pretty good. Not seeing any coolant leaking, no gas leaking yet. Even idling. Idling at $1,000. Holy cow. Let's see if it's running on all the cylinders. I believe it's running on all cylinders. They're all hot. Oh yeah, it's running on all cylinders. Wow. No more leaking out of that carb. I cannot believe how good it's running right now. That's crazy. Engine sounding really good. Smoking good. No leaking at all. Leaking from the coolant line. Oh yeah. I like that. Well, I think she's fixed. Headlights working. Tail lights working. Still idling at $1,000. Let's see if the temp gauge is working. That would be interesting, wouldn't it? I'm really happy with the way that runs. Comes right back down to idle. No air leaks. I'd say she's good to go. All right, let's start working on this brake. See if anything's in the master cylinder here. Ooh, pretty crusty in there. Yeah, completely empty. All right. Might just stick a vacuum in there and suck all that out. I'm gonna strip these out. There we go. Kind of clean in there now. Get this back on. DAP3. See if it leaks right out of here. Nothing's leaking yet. It's a pump. Of course, that piston's stuck in there. Well, that should pull out of here. Now we're going to tap. There's a little plunger piston right here. We're going to tap on that with a brass punch. Hopefully it frees up. Something moved. All right, after continuous pounding for about 30 minutes, look at this. Finally freed up, a little piston in there. It's actually pumping now. So, sometimes that trick works, sometimes not. Sometimes you just buy the new master cylinder and be done with it, but this one freed up. Feeding itself. Yeah, it's even getting a little bit hard here. If fluid pumps out of the breather here, we're going to be in good shape. Let's see. We can even crack it free. Whew. It's on there tight. This is probably plugged up. Let's see. Looks pretty dry. Let's see if it pumps out of here. Nope. So we definitely have a clog in the line, I'm guessing. Oh, there we go. It's coming now. Huh. That was weird, wasn't it? Yeah, there's a clog in the line, I bet. Nothing coming through there. Goes up to right there. Let's see if there's a clog there. Let's see if fluid pumps through there. Nope. So fluid should be pumping through there too. It's not. So there's a clog higher up. Loosen up the bolt there. No fluid coming out of there, doesn't pump. So we came up to here and it does pump through there. So we took out the banjo bolt there and that was clear. So you can see it's pumping good here. So I think there's a clog in the line here. All right, trying to fish this wire down here. It goes in about halfway and then gets stuck. It gets stuck right about there. So I'm trying to twist it and get that free. Without breaking it off in there. There we go, I think I got it. Let's go on. There we go. All the way down. Alright. Feels like it's breaking up in the line, but it's not coming out to the bottom here. Well, I've been working on this for like an hour now. I cannot get this brake line free here. There's a clog now, probably right in here. I don't have a wire long enough to go and get that. So, you know, that's a pretty short line. We're gonna have to just order up a new one. I think these are free down here. So if we can get this line free, I think we'd be good. So unfortunately for the first test drive, we won't have a front brake, but the rear brake does work. So at least we have something to stop. Ordered this up off of, I think it was Amazon had it. It's only like 40 bucks, so it wasn't too bad compared to ones in town here. Really expensive, so I was happy to only spend 40 instead of like 150. Alright, get our negative hooked up. Alright, battery is installed. Neutral light came up. It looks a little dim. It's a brand new battery. Does that have low voltage? Let's see if it cranks over. Yep, just clicks. I think that battery's dead. 7.8 volts, yeah, that's low. It should be like 12.7. Oh boy. Let's see if we can kickstart this thing and charge up that battery. See if it's charging. There we go, it's charging. There we go. So charging system's working. All right, we're all ready for the first ride. Who thinks it's gonna move here? Let's find out right now. Let's get this thing fired up. I truly cannot believe how good this thing runs. It doesn't skip a beat. Starts first kick every time, fires right up with the electric start, goes through all the gears smoothly. Rear brake is working great. Front brake doesn't work, but we'll get that fixed. Yeah, shifts really smooth, clutch works, and I cannot believe the crank seals are still good. I don't smell any transmission oil burning at all. It smells like two-stroke oil burning, so luckily, after sitting 40 years, somehow the crank seals are still good. Luckily, because I'm not tearing this thing apart and putting crank seals in. I don't think it would be worth it. But man, it is a very, very smooth running bike. Idles perfectly right at 1 grand. I mean, it doesn't get much better than that. But yeah, I am really, really happy with it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video as well. But now I want to see what the compression is on each cylinder. And we put all new plugs in here, so I want to see what the color of the plug is. That'll tell us how we're jetted and if this thing's running right. We're looking for a brown plug. If it's really, really black, that probably means that there's still stuff left in the crankcase burning off, or it could just be running rich. Let's see what it looks like. I think we've got about 30 minutes of runtime on this plug. Oh, that looks pretty nice. Pretty dark brown. It's not quite black. It's really, really dark brown. Side was extremely black because that carb was leaking in last video, and it was just getting way too much fuel. So hopefully the left side plug is brown and not super black. Let's see if the middle one is. Oh yeah, that is perfect. Look at that. Dark chocolatey brown. That's what I'm talking about. This thing's running perfect on this cylinder and the middle cylinder. Let's check the last cylinder. It should be good. Check it. Plug is hot. Oh, perfect. Look at that. Chocolatey brown. Wow. So all 3 plugs are nice dark brown in color. So that means we're jetted perfectly. Alright, so this cylinder had about 300 psi last video. Let's see if it went down at all. So we're going to do throttle open. See what we get. Oh, turn this to on. Alright, we're at 120. That's exactly what it should be at. So if it's about 100, it's a little bit low, but 120 is pretty good for a 2-stroke. Alright, so we're looking for right in that range. See what we get. Throttle open, here we go. Like 122. Perfect. That's exactly the same as the other cylinder. So we're on the right track now. Before that was 250. So definitely making progress. I think it cleared out those crankcases. Hopefully this one's about the same as the other ones, 120. Here we go. See what we get. Throttle open. Yep. That one's like 125. Perfect. So now we're right in that range of 120 to 130 on all the cylinders. Before they were all over the place. And it was really sporadic, so we're back to normal. Crankcases are cleaned out. That's awesome. All right, let's get the buffer wheel out. I'm very curious to see if any of that chrome will come back. Then we'll do the tank and stuff as well. Let's see if this tank cleans up a little bit. Ooh. definitely cleaned up. The gas cap rust is still on there, but tank looks pretty decent. Put a little bit of the compound on there. I doubt they will. We'll try it. The surface rust might come out. Let's see. Too pitted to get clean, but definitely shined up more. And that's just a 10-second buff. I mean, it definitely looks better. Oxidation happening here that, you know, you'd have to wet sand that and get that off, but you know, the cylinders I think would buff out a little bit. Let's try a little bit more. Right in the side cover. That's just dirty. Let's see what the back fender looks like cleaned up. Rear fender might be salvageable. So that's what it looks like buffed out. That's what it looked like before. You'll see a lot better. I don't know if anything would take away that heavy rust. If you guys have recommendations in the comments on what would take away that rust, let me know, because I'd just do the whole bike. But the front fender I don't think is going to come back. We'll try it. If you guys have recommendations, I'll try it in the comments, so let me know. Yeah, that's just heavy rust. I think the front fender is done. Alright, so that's what it's looking like right now. I think if we spent some real time and took every piece apart and buffed it out, it'd look pretty decent. I mean, the pipes are coming back. So, yeah, it's not looking horrible compared to what it was. I mean, it's looking a lot better. So all that's left to do now is to get a key off of eBay. We're gonna have to try to find the code for it on the ignition here. Hopefully it matches up to this one. This is 123. We'll have to order that one up and just see, but obviously we need a key. And what else does this thing need? Blinkers. It needs blinkers for that to work. So that's pretty much it. Everything else is just cosmetic. And the gas tank also needs to sit for about a week with vinegar in it because that's pretty heavily rusted. So a couple more things to do to get this thing to be perfect and reliable. But right now, I mean, the engine sounds great, starts great, idles great. So I'm not worried about the engine at all. It's mostly the cosmetic stuff in the gas tank that needs to be fixed. So other than that, it's a good runner, good driver. So I am very happy with how far this bike has come. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed the video on the 1975 Suzuki Gt750. Picking it up for 1,250 bucks, diagnosing it, getting it to run, and then taking it for the first drive in over 40 years. This one feels good to have pretty much done. This was a lot of work, but definitely worth it in the end. There's not a whole lot of these bikes left in running conditions, so I'm happy I could save another one. So thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for subscribing. Stay tuned for next video, and until next time, we are out.